So I've definitely tapped into my ability to communicate through written word over video or showing up. Like my main marketing is blogging, email. I love email sales funnels. The fact that I can nurture my audience, grow my audience, and connect with people in a way that is a little automated and less like I have to force myself to do it. Like back when I was trying to do all the things, it was like, you need to engage on Instagram for 2 hours a day. And it's like, that's just, it's not the way I want to grow my business.
Hello, and welcome to episode 99 of the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall, and the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we'll air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform. Leave me a review. That would mean a lot to me. Tell a friend about the podcast. Help get the word out there that introversion is a beautiful thing. Canada-based Tara Reid is a multi-passionate entrepreneur who works to support introverted virtual assistants and online service providers so they can develop an authentic marketing and sales strategy. Since 2007, Tara has built her online business to serve women who are looking to grow freedom-centered businesses. To date, she has led more than 6,000 creatives to more sustainable business strategy through her programs like the Freelancer Society and Searches to Leads Accelerator, along with her membership, the Introvertpreneur Club. Tara is the host of her own show, Introvertpreneur, now in its third year. She also has been featured on shows like the Ambitious Introvert podcast, the Quiet Powerhouse podcast, along with speaking at the Uplevel Your Biz Summit, Systems Over Stress, and Profitable Course Creator Summit, amongst others. While she's not leading introverts to strategies that suit them, Tara is probably spending time with her 3 rescue pups, enjoying working from home, or re-watching episodes of Friends. All right. Well, welcome to my guest, Tara. Tara, welcome to the Quiet and Strong podcast. So excited to have you on today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the work that you do, so many things. So we'll talk about that. But first, before we do that, just tell us about yourself and your journey as an introvert and the various things you've done in business to now helping other introverts.
Yeah, my journey started in 2007 as a online entrepreneur. I was like, I was really sold on the idea that I could work from home because I loved the job that I had at the time, but it was very energy draining. I had to kind of related to entrepreneurship, actually. I used a lot of the same skills, but I would create training material for a large company. And then it moved into, they kind of wanted me to lead classes and trainings. And I'm like, this isn't for me. So I dove into online marketing and tried to learn everything that I could. And a lot of the stuff that I discovered was about showing up on video, sharing everything about your life to build a personal brand. And I think as an introvert, that scared me quite a bit. I think a lot of us feel like our lives are boring. That was my thought, was my life is boring. I don't want to share things on stories on Instagram because people aren't going to care. Um, and it really taught me a lot about who I am as a person, because at the beginning, I tried to force myself to be somebody that I wasn't. I tried to, go on reels and dance around and pretend to be this super confident, loud person. And I realized this is acting. This is so phony and it just does not feel good. So that's where I really shifted and started focusing on ways that I can grow my business that aren't going to feel that way.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been told by some you got to dance around, and That's not happening. That's not something I'm gonna do. So when did you figure out that you were introvert, and how did you embrace that?
I think I've always known it. I mean, I've always been called quiet, shy. Um, Mute was a word I've heard multiple times. It's like every adjective to describe an introvert I took as a negative. So growing up, I really felt like I had to force myself to be different and to, as people say, like come out of my comfort zone and pretend to be somebody that I'm not. And I struggled with that for many years, like trying to be somebody that just wasn't me. And it took until I got to the point in business where I was like, I need to either figure out a different way to do this or I'm not going to do this anymore because it's exhausting and it's just not right for me. That's where I really had what I called my like self-acceptance moment. I was like, I'm an introvert. I know I've been trained my whole life that there's something wrong with that. There's not. I'm going to own it and I'm going to use the strengths that I have as an introverted person to grow my business and to live my life also because I was trying to be somebody else in my life as well in social situations and with friends and people. And it was exhausting trying to be somebody else 24/7.
Yes, I have been there, and so many of my guests have said something like that, like they thought something was wrong with them. And I know I tried to be something I wasn't. And when you can figure out who you are and be true to yourself and authentic, it's life changing, right?
Mhm.
So, what are your strengths as an introvert or strengths that you've seen as you've been helping other introverts?
So I've definitely tapped into my ability to communicate through written word over video or showing up. Like my main marketing is blogging, email. I love email sales funnels. The fact that I can nurture my audience, grow my audience, and connect with people in a way that is a little automated and less like I have to force myself to do it. Like back when I was trying to do all the things, it was like, you need to engage on Instagram for 2 hours a day. It's like, that's just, it's not the way I want to grow my business. So I think knowing your strengths and what's going to feel good for you to do consistently, because I feel like that's a lot of the times what happens is we try to force ourselves to do things that we're told we have to do. Like we have to be on Instagram, we have to do live videos, we have to do a live challenge in order to get leads and if it's not something that you're going to enjoy, it's not going to resonate with your audience either. It's just going to be a waste of your time, their time, everybody's time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what have you found that you need as an introvert? Because again, that's going to be different than other
Mhm.
people. Just like our strengths are different, your needs are can be different too. So, what have you found that you need, and how have you brought that into the work that you do?
This is one I've struggled with because I'm also realized that I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. So I've had to kind of maneuver that with managing my own energy and boundaries. So it has been a little bit of a struggle. Um, like before, I was saying yes to every client, every opportunity that came my way because I didn't want to miss out. Whereas now I've realized I can't say yes to everything. I need to say no. And what's the worst that's going to happen? There will be more opportunities or things moving forward. It's not going to make or break my business by saying, no, I'm too busy this week. I can't do it. It's just not going to work out. Um, that's something I had to do too with coaching or working one to one with clients is like, I'm really strategic with my calendar now. I will only do maybe 2 calls per day because any more than that, and it just wrecks me for a couple of days. I need to like go off and recharge. Um, I also have Fridays blocked out completely. So no calls on Fridays whatsoever. Um, it's really worked well for me to set those boundaries around my calendar and have them in place where, no, this is non-negotiable for me. I will only take 2 per day. I need to have a half an hour at least in between them. So just figuring out like what's going to work best for you so you're not saying yes to everything and overloading yourself, because I've experienced burnout. I've shared many times how I experienced really awful burnout that lasted for about 8 months and led to me selling my first business. So I know what I need to put in place to avoid that.
Wow, yes. The calendar is so important, but
Mm.
also understanding how you need to organize your calendar as an introvert is key. And I've had the same. I've had burnout too. And you can't, you said you can't say yes to everything. It's not possible, you know? You
Mhm.
can't do everything. And sometimes we learn that the hard way, but there's not enough, it's a math problem. There's not enough time to do
Yeah.
everything. And you mentioned recharging. Personally, how do you recharge as an introvert? Because that's a very important part of our time management and productivity is learning what we need to recharge when we need to.
Yeah, I have different things. So if it's like I need to recharge away from people, then I will take my dogs for a walk, read a book, something that is not related to an electronic device or consuming content or stuff on social media. I need to detach completely. And then there's a little bit less where I just need to recharge my creativity because I'm a really creative person. I love website design, graphic design. So sometimes if I feel like I haven't been able to be creative lately because I've had just way too many tasks and things that I've had to do during a week, I'll just open Canva and I will just sit here and play around for several hours and just randomly create new things that weren't planned, don't have a specific purpose. Um, Basically, it's like painting, but digitally.
Oh, very cool. So on this show, we definitely talk about the strengths and needs of introverts and some strategies for success, which we're going to get into. But also we do some myth busting. Is there a myth or two about introversion that you want to bust today?
Oh, that's good. I have so many I can
Yeah, yeah,
say.
no.
Um, I think the biggest myth for me is that we are all shy or quiet. I know for me that is the case. I am very quiet and I also have anxiety, so that kind of adds to it. But I've worked with a lot of introverts and some of them love being on video. Some of them love having one-to-one connections with people. Some people thrive in group settings. It's just that they need to manage their energy and recharge for a bit afterwards. So I think that's the biggest myth or misconception that people have about introverts is that we're all homebodies, we're quiet, we don't like people. I think that's a big one. Like I love people, I just need it in small doses.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Those are two of the biggest right there. An introvert can be shy, extrovert can be shy. But for me, knowing about my introversion really helped me overcome any shyness. So you can work on shyness, you can work on anxiety, but introversion, it's just part of who we are and you have to learn to
Mhm.
understand it. But as far as, putting yourself out there, hey, here's a couple introvert podcasters, you know, and we regularly put information out there. Tell us, I've been enjoying your podcast. I've been listening to it, the Introvertpreneur podcast. Tell us about that and what made you start a podcast.
Yeah, so I really felt like the podcast, it was something that I had on my mind for several years that I wanted to do. But again, I had a lot of mindset obstacles that I had to overcome. I was really like, who am I to launch a podcast? Nobody's going to listen to it. What if they don't like my voice? I had all these things that I had to work through, and then I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there. If nobody listens, that's fine. I have content that I can repurpose, which I can still use it, so it won't be a total waste of time. But it's been a really incredible experience. And I mean, I say so often, people that knew me in public school, high school, if they knew that I now have a podcast, they would be shocked because I mean, I was voted most shy, and now I have a weekly podcast where I interview guests and I'm a guest on other podcasts, and people are just shocked at that.
Yeah. I think another myth that I regularly bust is that we don't have a lot to say. But I say it's the opposite, that as introverts, we have a ton to say because we're always thinking. And,
Mhm.
this is one way we share some of those ideas is through podcasting. So anyway, really enjoy it. On one of your podcasts, I heard you talking about your approach to marketing and that your approach to marketing is different for introverts than it would be for extroverts. And why is that? Why would you approach marketing as an introvert in a different way than maybe a extrovert would?
I think it goes back to like using your strengths. I know like when I was trying to force myself to do it, it wasn't really resonating with my audience. And when I went back and watched those videos, they were awful. They were so awkward and horrible. And I think it ties into also knowing your audience. I like one example with my membership, I realized that, it's for introverts, and we have a monthly Zoom call, and not many people come to the Zoom call, and if they do, they have their cameras off, which is fine. I totally understand that. But then I added in Voxer office hours where they can just message me, they can send a voice note, and they can get support that way. And they love that. They every day I have Voxer office hours, my phone is just exploding. So I think it's a little bit about knowing who you are and then also knowing who your audience is and how they consume content, how they want to get support from you. And then hopefully those two can work together and fit well where it works for you and it works for your audience.
And then definitely social media is part of all this, and we've been talking a little bit about it. So, what are the challenging aspects of social media for introverts, particularly those entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I know for me it was social media. I mean, I always target Instagram for this because it's where I was the most active previously, and it was really energy draining. I love creating content. I know that's one of my strengths is like creating content, but when it came to responding to comments, answering messages, um, engaging with other people, I would sometimes get lost in that and I would lose hours and hours. And I wasn't being strategic with it. It was basically a waste of time um, because I had no strategy behind it. I was just forcing myself to check off my to-do list of engage on Instagram for 1 or 2 hours every day or every other day. And it was exhausting. I found that really energy draining, trying to force myself to engage with people and grow my audience that way. And while I love the content side of it, the flip side of that was that everyone I was following on Instagram was also creating amazing content. And I would start to get lost in it. It was like there was just so much noise. Every time I tried to read somebody's post and engage, then I would get like an idea from it and I wouldn't actually engage. I would go off and like
Mm,
overthinking introverts that we are.
yeah.
So I really had to shut down the noise and just focus on my content. Um, and be more strategic with engagement because otherwise I knew that I could just get lost in it and it wouldn't actually get me any results or help me connect with people.
Are there particular social media platforms that you think work better for introverts, or what are your thoughts on that?
I know for me, I really like LinkedIn. I feel like it's pretty similar. Like you can still create, like if you love creating content, you can still create content that's going to get you results, but it's less on I feel like it's less noisy, it's less distracting, it's um less focused on the kind of vanity engagement, and it's more deeper connections that you can make one to one, which I think a lot of introverts thrive with.
Yeah, definitely. It's less about vanity. And I like how you put it. I have
Mhm.
found the same thing. And there's definitely differences between the different platforms. And then how does being an introvert and using your strengths play into social media? How can you use your introverted strengths for it?
I think being aware of what your strengths are and really using them. Like if you thrive with one to one, try to open up more one to one connections with people in direct messages. Respond one to one to their stories. If you really thrive creating great content that's going to draw people into you, then really dig into your content and really focus on creating that content that's going to attract the right people. um yeah, that's what's kind of worked for me. I think also shutting out the noise, if you need to, like curate your feed. If you're following somebody and you find that their posts tend to get distracting or make you start to compare yourself, or it starts to affect you in a negative way, unfollow them. It's not a big deal. I know I used to be the Instagram person who was like, I can't unfollow this person, then they'll unfollow me. And I don't want them to be mad. And it was like, it's not that big of a deal. We need to curate our feeds a little better, especially if the noise is affecting you.
Absolutely. So I know that you've been in business for yourself quite some time, as we discussed already. And, there's probably a lot of introverts out there listening that sounds really good too, because the different aspects of freedom that come with that, an introvert might be very attracted to. What advice do you have for the introvert that maybe has a full-time job but is thinking about starting their own business?
I think the biggest thing is to figure out a way that you can grow your business that is going to get you the most results for your time. Like I know for me, email is huge. Email is my biggest way to nurture and grow my audience. So if you want to like go all in on one specific method or way to grow. So if it's email, for example, you would want to create lead magnets. You would want to promote your funnels to get people into your nurture sequences. You would want to set up those sequences. You would want to test different subject lines. Like you want to dig deep into whatever method you choose as your main focus. I'm just using email because it's my favorite right
Yeah,
now
yeah.
as an introvert, but it could be blogging, it could be social media. However, you can figure out a way to really dig deep on that one method. You can always add other methods after or other marketing channels or platforms. But I think for the most impact, you need to really go deep on one first and then use it to kind of repurpose content to other channels. And then as you have more time, add in more marketing methods that can kind of work together.
Yeah, absolutely. For that same person, I know it's gonna depend on the situation, but is it likely gonna be a gradual process shifting to working for yourself?
I think usually it's a I love that. I know a lot of people push like the make 10K month or make 100K, all of these big shiny numbers and promises. And I've always looked at, I want slow but steady and sustainable growth for my business in every area. I don't want it to just explode because if something goes viral or it happens really quickly, it can unhappen just as fast. So I think the slow and steady, consistent growth month over month is really where what you want and what is going to work better long term.
And since you've been running your own business, what do you really love about that as an introvert?
It's definitely shifted. I feel like I feel like at the beginning it was like I really love marketing and creating content, and now it's still that, but I feel like it's more about the people I've connected with, the other introverts that I want to help. And I think, I call myself a business and marketing coach now, which didn't want to do for the longest time because I was like, I'm an introvert. I don't want to coach people. It doesn't fit. Like all the coaches I see are very extroverted, very out there and cheerleader type. And that's just not me. So I avoided using the word for a long time, but it's really what I've been doing for a long time. And I feel like helping other people have a light bulb moment is the best feeling in the world for me. I love helping other people. I mean, I'm an introvert. I'm also an empath. So I really connect with people one to one and I can really put myself in their shoes, which I think just makes for a better coach. It makes for somebody who doesn't just give general advice or umbrella advice. I like really love to dig into the specifics of somebody, their personality, their strengths, and their business and what they want it to look like over the next few months or a few years.
Yeah. And honestly, over the years, I've learned that often I can learn best from other introverts. I can learn from an extrovert on many of these things, but it's better if they understand my introversion. And so introverted coaches are so needed to help fellow introverts because we have needs that an extrovert may not understand. Even a very well meaning extrovert may
Mm.
not understand. Like if I want to get better at public speaking, the way I'm going to approach that is using my introverted strengths and also honoring my introverted needs. And if I go to an extrovert coach on that, they're probably not going to really understand how I prepare best, you know?
Mhm.
And again, just like I love podcasting, I love speaking, but my approach to preparing and giving the speech is going to be in my own introverted way.
I feel the same. I know my first um, client experience hiring a coach. It was definitely a wrong fit because they were very extroverted and
Okay.
um, pushed a lot of you just have to force yourself to do it. And I'm like, but I don't want to do it. It's not that like, I feel like there's some people who do need that push. Like if it's fear holding you back from doing something, like, yes, you should try to push through that and try it. But I don't want somebody telling me this is the only way that you'll find success. You have to do this. I'm like, no, I'm going to find another way. So yeah, that was my first coaching experience. Was a coach who really I felt like didn't understand my personality, what I needed. Um, it was really just this is what I did because I'm an extrovert and it worked. So you need to do this too.
Yeah, yeah, so that's key right there, and you have to find a good fit, and you might go through a couple coaches, right, to find that.
Hmm.
I don't really like the advice like, "Okay, well, you gotta feel the fear and all that good stuff." You have to change your thoughts around the fear. You can't just do it, get out of your comfort zone. It's like you have to figure out what's causing your fear, and then again, lean into your introverted strengths and needs, and change your thoughts around that. So I could call it like expanding your comfort zone. It's not just getting out of it because I think as introverts, we probably have gotten out of our comfort zones over and over and over again throughout our lives. But if you don't change your thoughts, the cycle continues and you just keep trying to get out of your comfort zone and the fear still exists. So you have to learn how to change it, but with your introverted needs in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Is like keeping your needs in mind. I think that's the big piece for us as introverts is like, yeah, I mean, comfort zones are great. I always say like I love being in my comfort zone.
Yeah, right. Sometimes, yeah, yeah,
Like working from home, not having to drive to work in the winter, being able to curate my own schedule or what I'm doing or what I'm saying yes or no to. It's wonderful, but I mean, I still push myself all the time. Um, every time I sign up to do an event or even a podcast interview, I'm still have to push myself a little bit to do it. While it has gotten easier, it's still something that, I do have to push myself a little bit to actually open up Zoom and turn on my camera and make that connection. So um I think I think as introverts too, one thing I heard was you should be pushing yourself out of your comfort zone every single day because no great things are done in comfort zones. And that just sounds like such damaging messaging to me because I don't want to be so anxious and not comfortable every single day in my business. That just would not feel good.
Yeah, we need to try new things, look at how we can best use our strengths, but that's what it is. We have to use our strengths and look at our needs and figure out those things that will be most beneficial for us and the things that we're trying to accomplish and not compare ourselves to somebody else.
Mhm.
What's been a challenge for you as an introvert business owner?
Um, a lot of things for sure. um, I think the biggest thing I can say looking back, like that was a theme for many years, was just saying yes to everything. That was the biggest thing that I had to overcome and stop saying yes to things that I really didn't want to do, like because it didn't lead to anything good. If I said yes to too many things and I was burnt out and exhausted, it would sometimes ruin my next week because I had drained myself the week before. So I think really letting go of that, I need to say yes to every opportunity that comes my way. Um, I think that was the biggest thing for me because that's something I struggled with for a long time.
So, you offer a lot of great services and products and things. In a nutshell, what are all the different things that you are doing?
So there's a lot. I
Yeah,
have.
right.
Um, I think I counted a couple weeks ago, and it was like I have 50 digital products, which includes memberships, courses, and workshops, digital products, or templates, and things. So I have a lot of things going on. I think I've always called myself a multi-passionate, and that was something I struggled with too, is like everyone tells you have to niche down to one thing. And that was never me. I tried that. It didn't work. It worked for a few months and then I got bored. So for me, it's really about different trainings or things that I can create that are going to help people with organic marketing. And a lot of that is for introverts, but I feel like a lot of extroverts too sometimes struggle with marketing, especially organic. Like I focus a lot on SEO because that's my background. And I love getting organic traffic as an introvert. I mean, a third of my traffic comes from organic search. So as an introvert, I just love that. I don't have to post on social media. I don't have to um, send an email if I don't want to. I don't have to do anything. It's already in place and ranking and getting me traffic. I also talk a lot about creating digital products and offers in your business. I talk a lot about blogging. I have a membership for introverts specifically where we have the Voxer office hours. We have a workshop once per month. We have a live coaching call. And it's just I really love the membership because I feel like it's a space for introverts where there's a lot of programs or groups that are not necessarily introvert friendly. Like my first mastermind that I joined, I ended up missing the first call. So I went to the second one and I just felt so behind. And like everyone already knew each other. They had all these connections and inside jokes. And it was an eight month long program. And that second call, I just felt like I was not in the right place. So I think it's important for introverts to come together with people who understand how we work, what is maybe best case for us, and that we don't need to be told to do specific things. It's more about using your strengths in a way that's going to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've talked a lot about a lot of great things around marketing, social media. Is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't talked about today?
I think the biggest thing I would also share for introverts who are listening and are maybe struggling with marketing, um, one of the biggest things that's changed everything for me and kind of tied everything together nicely is sales funnels. And I know sometimes they get a bad name, but sales funnels are like an automated nurture powerhouse to generate sales on repeat, which as an introvert are great. If I get sale notifications and I didn't have to DM somebody or send a message or anything, that is amazing, or get on a sales call. I used to do sales calls too, which was awful. Um, so I think tying everything together with a sales funnel, like that combines email sequences and email marketing, that combines copy that is going to sell your service or sell your offer, and really putting yourself in your clients or your potential customers' shoes. Like usually that's a really big strength that we have is we can feel what they're feeling. We just need to use those words on our copy or in our emails or in our marketing, and it's going to basically sell for us, which is perfect.
Awesome. All right. This has been such a great conversation today, Tara. I really appreciate it. For those that want to connect with you and learn more about all the great work you're doing, what's the best way?
So probably my website, thetarareid.com. I have because I love funnels and email marketing, I have a ton of freebies. So if you go to my free resources page and sign up for any one of them or multiple, then you'll get on my email list. And that's primarily where I'm sharing the most valuable content and helpful stuff that is going to um, make an impact. I'm really loving on my email list right now. So
Yeah. Yeah, great website. I've been enjoying reading through it, and you do have a lot of great freebies on there as well. So
thank you.
thanks again. Thanks again for this wonderful conversation, Tara.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to further connecting with you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or check out the quietandstrong.com website, which includes blog posts, links to social media, and other items. Send me topics or guests you would like to see on the show. If you're interested in getting to know yourself better, there's now a free Type Finder personality assessment on the Quiet and Strong website. This free assessment will give you a brief report, including the four-letter Myers-Briggs code. I'll add a link to the show notes. There's so many great things about being an introvert, so we need those to be understood. Get to know your introverted strengths and needs and be strong.